Hi guys, thank you guys for coming. We're gonna wait a few more minutes so we can have other people join in right now, and then we'll start very shortly.
Hi, everybody. Hope everyone's fall quarter is going well. It's like awfully quiet. So,
Thank you, Amy, for that.
no problem. I was like, oh, it's kind of quiet. Feel free to use the chat if you want to, talk and say, how's it going? I know this quarter is a little bit hard for me. I don't know about everybody else.
Also, feel free to turn on your camera if you like. We love to see who we're talking with, and just makes it more personable.
Yes, we would love to connect with all the health and pre-med majors at De Anza. So don't be afraid to open that camera, guys. Let's see.
Okay, we'll just wait one more minute and then we're gonna start.
Sounds good.
Good morning. Good morning, Annabelle. And I see you, Nicholas. I remember you.
Welcome, Nicholas.
Hey, Nicholas.
Hi.
Hi, Laura. Is this your first year at De Anza? Are you new to Medical Outreach Club?
Nicholas, thank you.
Cool. Exciting. Got a couple first years. That was a very terrifying, first quarter is very terrifying. I mean, okay, see, I don't want to discourage you guys, but at least for me it was.
Okay, that's why you're here though. So
exactly.
You get the resources.
Now that I have experience, it's not as terrifying anymore. Yeah.
Okay, so it's 1:05 right now, and I think we're about to start.
Yeah.
All right, so welcome guys. Thank you for coming. This is MOA's first club meeting for fall 2020. Ooh. And we're really excited to share some events and about who we are here at MOA. So just as a disclaimer, since this is our first quarter, MOA's first quarter virtual, we just want to set some guidelines and rules just to make sure we're here being respectful of each other and not being rude or anything. So like it says here on the slide, please be respectful of officers and guest speakers during the meeting. That can be by muting yourself while we're speaking or presenting and using appropriate language in the chat and while voicing out. And also always be polite. Any disruptions or like if you just are not being very nice, we have the right to kick you guys out of the meeting, and we really don't want to do that. So please just be very friendly with everyone. And just another notice, this meeting is being recorded for those who aren't able to attend this meeting today. So if you're uncomfortable with asking questions or voicing your questions during the recording, we're going to have parts of the meeting where it's not going to be recorded at all. So you can definitely ask your questions there at the end of the presentation and during the Q&A session with Tom Nguyen. So I'm going to go ahead and we're gonna introduce some of the officers, our club and officers, through this YouTube video that we had for Virtual Club Day, but ended up not being viewed. So we're gonna play it here. Hi everyone, my name is Isabel Law and I am Medical Outreach Association's president this year.
Hi everyone, it's me Shania and I'm your vice president.
My name is Natalia and I am the treasurer of MOA.
Hi everybody, my name is Amy and I serve as a secretary here at MOA.
My name is Scarlett and I'm this year's public relations officer for MOA.
Here at MOA, we engage with prospective health and medical students to help them explore the medical field through philanthropic activities and outreach in public health. Our goal here is to bridge the gap between students and the medical field.
This year, we will be conducting our meetings on Zoom, but worry not, as we have invited many guest speakers from medical admissions to De Anza alumni that are now in medical school. We'll also be offering you guys with internship opportunities and workshops, and hopefully connect you guys to shadowing programs. We're also super big with giving back to the community, as we will be conducting fundraisers and projects and volunteering with other organizations.
At MOA, we offer a whole bunch of resources on our website, such as summer programs at Stanford, specifically geared towards community college students, or other programs at schools such as UCSF, Davis, and San Diego, and so much more.
In order to join our club, you must be a GASB cardholder, have a minimum of half a unit in academic credits, and you cannot be on academic or social probation.
If you want to stay connected with us, then follow our Instagram and Facebook at DeAnza_MOA, and also check out our website to find out about the past and current events that we've done before. Also sign up for our emailing list so you can be the first ones to know about our upcoming events and any news that we have.
We hope that you guys can all join.
And we will see you at our next meeting.
Yes, play it again.
There we go. Oh, I'm sorry. It's being a little bit glitchy. All right, so we're gonna, so as in the video, we already introduced all the officers. There's 5 of us. I'm Isabel and I'm the president. Shania, go ahead.
Oh, I'm Shania and I'm the vice president. I am also a second-year De Anza student. I forgot we had to say our years too.
Oh yeah, I'm a 3rd year.
Yes, there we go.
Hi everyone, my name is Scarlett and I'm a second year here.
Hi, my name is Natalia. I'm the treasurer and I'm the second year at De Anza.
Hi everybody, my name is Amy. I'm the secretary. I'm a second year.
If you want to learn more about us, you can always visit our website under officers, the current officers tab. It gives us details about what our majors are and what our experiences are at De Anza, and some fun facts as well. So you can definitely shoot us an email or even just connect with us private chat after the meeting. That would be great. That'd be fine too. Go ahead, Shania.
Isabel, your screen is still showing the video.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Can you see it now?
There we go. Yeah. Okay. I was like, oh no, technical difficulties. Okay, so we have a few upcoming events on October 23rd. We have a medical outreach alumni. She was an officer, and hopefully she will be coming and talking about like what happened after De Anza and how her journey's going. And then on November 6th, we have a panelist event with the health technologies and allied health fields in both De Anza and Foothill. So we're collaborating and we're getting speakers. So we have like the EMT instructor and the head of the dental hygiene program at Foothill, and they'll be coming and talking about just like the programs and giving you guys information how to join. So very exciting.
So this past summer, we've been working on revamping the website, and we've actually, we've actually finished up the final touches for it. So if you just scan this QR code, it will take you to the website. I believe Shania also sent a link in the chat if you want to check it out. We also published some new volunteering opportunities, and there are some that you can do during COVID, such as volunteering at a COVID site and such like that. So if you guys want to check that out, it's on our website under the active opportunities. Yes, that's it.
Okay, so these are all of our socials that we have, and as you can see, the handles are right there. And if you want to receive our updates about events or in general, our Instagram, Facebook, and our Gmail are the best ways to go from that. And all of our meetings will actually be recorded just to account for those who are unable to attend. So we'll be posting that on our YouTube channel. So I would highly recommend subscribing to that. And our emailing list is actually the best way to receive updates about events because we will be sending the Zoom link out with those. So I would highly recommend scanning that QR code right there and joining our email list if you haven't already. And our Linktree QR code is also right there, and that has all of our other important links, such as all the Instagram and Facebook URLs. And we also have the feedback form link in there. So if you haven't already, I would say please fill that out because that will give us an idea of the kind of events that you guys want in the future and also the meeting times that would work best for you. And it's like a really short, like 2-minute max little quiz thing. So it'd be great if you could fill it out.
So in order to encourage participation among group members, we have implemented the attendance point system this year. And in order to earn the full amount of points, which is 3 points per meeting, you need to sign in on the Google form at the beginning of the meeting, which we emailed you guys, and then sign out with the word of the day. There's 1 point for signing out and then another point for getting the word of the day correct. And also, if you didn't attend the meeting live, you have 24 hours to complete the Google form and still earn the full amount of points. At the end, so yeah, 3 points at the end of each meeting. And then at the end of the quarter, the member or members with the most amount of points will get a free prize. And to earn extra points, you will also have the opportunity to participate in community service events, which we will update you guys about soon. So if you guys have any questions before we begin, please ask right now.
Yeah. Okay, so our first guest speaker of the year is Tom Nguyen, who is a professor and a counselor for many health and pre-medical majors at De Anza. And so he's helped many students like myself with college advising and educational planning. And so today he'll be talking about like transferring and touching on college applications. So take it away, Tom.
Thank you, Shania. Thank you for the nice introduction, and it's a pleasure to always be here. It's always a joy for me to come and visit with this club, and it's a strange year. It's definitely been a strange year. Normally, it's always kind of like a wonderful energy in the club, and and it's always a joy meeting with you guys all. So we're gonna do the best we can through this online format, and I just have to send a shout out to all the officers, man. They did a really awesome job with the website, and they're just setting up like all these different ways for you guys to get engaged. So that's a really special opportunity, and I think just knowing all the leaders that are taking charge this year, man, you guys are in good hands. So today we're going to talk about transfer, and I know it looks like we have about 25 participants here, and if you guys have like any questions around transfer, whether you're in your first year or your second year, feel free to put that in the chat. We can keep it pretty informal if you guys like, but I do have a PowerPoint just to kind of provide you guys with a basic overview of how transfer works. I don't want this to be like me kind of going over all the details and stuff like that, because that's usually the best way to do it is like through like a one-on-one session. So I'm going to give you guys my link. So if you guys want to make an appointment with me, I'm going to put this in the chat box right now. And so I usually get booked out like 2 to 3 weeks in advance. So you guys, if you're new to the campus, you probably don't realize that winter registration will begin probably around like a week before Thanksgiving. So if you want to meet with me to plan out your winter, your spring, your summer, or just to talk about anything that might be going on, just complexities of online learning, or just finding some resources. You can use that link that I just shared to make an appointment with me. We can do 30 minutes, we can do an hour, or you can always email me. I'll type in my email. So if you have like a quick question, that we could do over email, you can always shoot me an email, and then we could do it that way as well. That's a little bit more convenient. All right, so I guess I'm going to share my screen because I don't see any like specific questions, or maybe I'll just give it like another minute or so. I'll just keep talking. But if you have any questions around transfer, feel free to put that in the chat, and then I'll work with you guys from there. If not, then I'll just take it as a cue to pivot to my PowerPoint. So just to kind of spend the next minute, let me just introduce myself. I've been at De Anza. I just celebrated like my 8-year work anniversary. So I've been here for quite some time. I started off in a grant-funded program supporting underserved Asian American and Pacific Islander students, just working in learning communities. So it's kind of similar to Puente and like first year experience, but I was the counselor for Impact API. And I also supported MPS, the Math Performance Success Program. So I'm pretty familiar with that community. If you guys are struggling in math, if you guys are looking for some additional campus resources, again, feel free to drop me a line, and I'd be happy to, just kind of discuss all the support systems that are available on our campus. So let's see here. Is there any general information we need to know that might not have been new students? Let's see. What's like a really good job? I mean, my thing is like try to meet with accounts for like once a quarter, and I'll get into that a little bit more, but being able to plan early is going to help you guys save just frustration and headache and disappointment, especially over the last 2 years. There's been a lot of changes when it comes to like campus policies, changes when it comes to transfer requirements. So a lot of times students, they feel more comfortable going to their friends or families who might have attended De Anza in years before. But sometimes that information becomes outdated. So you always want to just get in touch with us, and we'll definitely support you to the best of our abilities. All right, so I'm going to just take that as a cue and jump to the PowerPoint. And then if you guys have any questions as I'm talking, I'll definitely, I'm happy to pivot and take a detour. So I'm going to share my screen and let's see here. All right. So can you guys see what I'm looking at? Yeah.
Yes, we
Okay.
can see it. It's not in presentation mode yet, though.
Oh, okay. So let's see here. Let's see here. Presentation mode. Is that better? Is that better?
Yep, that's good.
All right. So the transfer process. Let's see here. So everybody has like different reasons for transfer. That you guys could share in the chat. What are your individual reasons for transfer? Or if you have any questions, again, you can kind of enter that in. During the last few years that I've been specific, like in the role of biology, health, and environmental sciences, and again, I've been in this role for about like 4, 5 years now. A lot of it is because students are thinking about like majoring in biology or majoring in nursing, and they want to transfer and pursue a career in healthcare. And then you also have other students who they just really enjoy the college going experience, even if they don't know exactly what they want to do with their degrees. But they want to just honor their commitment to learning and self-improvement. And that's wonderful too, right? It's a chance to kind of discover new ideas and meet new people and just to enhance your own personal growth. There's other majors. So I saw on the agenda that you guys are going to have like a guest or a panel of speakers on allied health. Most of those programs are associate's degree programs, so transfer isn't required. But there are some programs that that might allow you to transfer. But that's also a really good question for the group: is like how long do you anticipate being in college? Whether you want to be here just for 2 to 3 years, or do you see yourself, taking on a journey that's going to require like 4 or 5 years total, right? So different reasons for different people, and it's all good. You guys are probably hearing my 2-year-old in the background. She's just finishing up her mac and cheese and losing her mind. All right, so how does transfer work? Again, I'm not going to go into like the nitty gritty, but just so you guys can kind of get like an overview. The first point here is this, here's like the general like formula. There's going to be some general education requirements, and then you're going to be taking classes that are specific to your major, right? So if you're doing biology, or if you're doing biochemistry, or if you're doing nursing, those requirements may be different, especially depending on what transfer institution you're looking at. Okay, and then there's some majors where electives are required. Electives are just another word for extra GE. So if you don't have a lot of major requirements, you'll need to take some extra GE classes to get to 90 units. And then early on, you want to start thinking about like some colleges that you could apply to after your time here at De Anza, just based on the available programs, thinking about the location of the college, thinking about your grade point average that's required to get into that program, and then the specific course requirements for the major. And you usually apply 1 year in advance. So it's kind of like high school, right? You apply like the start of your senior year in the fall. So for the CSUs and UCs, it's usually a November 30th deadline. And then, you have the rest of that year to finish up required coursework, and then to get to 90 units by the end of that spring. So if you're filing for transfer this fall of 2020, you have usually what ends up happening is you fill in updates in January, and then in February, they start scoring your applications, and then you'll get notices in early spring whether you're accepted to your program or not. And then by the end of spring 2021, you need to have at least 90 units and all the required coursework completed. So I'm gonna just kind of get out of, let's see here, get out of my screen share real quick, because I see there are some questions.
Tom, actually, I also have just created a poll. If you want, I can send it right now.
Oh, sure. Yeah, go for it. Yeah, that's awesome.
Get you a more general idea about who we have here listening to you. I just shared the poll. Can you guys see it? Yeah, just
there.
Go ahead and fill it out, and then I'll be able to post the results, and then maybe you can just talk about whoever the majority is in, if people don't have questions yet.
Okay, perfect. And let me give you guys. I'm also going to share a document in the chat, and I'm hoping that'll work. I'm not as tech savvy as you guys. But I'm looking at the poll. It says overwhelmingly we have 94%, 89% now. They're in their first year, and then another 11% in their second year. And it looks like we have a good number of students that are looking to transfer, but still many that are just thinking about the associate's degree or certificate level. And some of the more popular majors, physician's assistant, that's definitely popular. We got 8 students thinking about a career as a physician. We got a lot of nurses in here, and then health tech as well. So that's awesome, man. Yeah, so I'll just keep talking. So in my current role with biology, health, and environmental sciences, I'm essentially your counselor. I'm like your division counselor. So if you guys are thinking about any of those careers, come and see me. I'll help you develop an ed plan, and then we'll build out a pathway. Whether you're transferring out to a UC with a major in biology so that you can prepare for a career, or prepare an application for med school or to become a PA, or if you're thinking about nursing, applying to our program or applying to other nursing programs in the area, or if you're just thinking about doing a health tech certificate, I could help you guys with the ed plan. I can help you guys with your transfer applications. So it looks like a lot of you guys are first year students, and with just a lot of like diverse interest in like healthcare careers. And if you're thinking you want to do healthcare, but you're not exactly sure, what that's going to look like, if you just need some help clarifying your goals, and finding meaningful pathways, that's kind of what I'm here for too. You don't have to have your entire life figured out before you send me an email. So that's like my joy, and that's my commitment to you, is just walking with you on this journey. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead. That's a really great poll. Thank you so much for that. That was awesome. Very helpful. I'm going to go ahead and X out of that, I guess. And then I'm going to go back to my screen share. So for those of you who are interested, and I won't spend too much time on this, but for those of you who are interested in transferring and you're trying to figure out in your first year which colleges to apply to, I don't know if you guys have heard of Ethan Sawyer. He's got a really great like podcast and other resources on applying to college and college admissions, he's developed like a really wonderful like 4-page handout on how to create like a great college list. And there's like hyperlinks here, you know, everything from like self-assessments to help you understand like what you're looking for, and to use that as a baseline as you're putting together a list. And then he gets into, you know, helping you to understand like the differences among various majors. So you might be here thinking about a major in biology or health sciences, but maybe 2 years from now, that evolves into something else, maybe psychology or you know, culinary arts, who knows. But these are, it's a really wonderful resource. I shared it in the chat, so be sure to check it out. And the more you plan early on in the process, the better off you're going to be. You're going to really enjoy your choices 2 years, 3 years into the line. He even has like a Google Doc here that helps you to kind of figure out, to help you organize some of your research as you're putting together a college list. And then he has just different like websites that he likes, that provides you guys with a lot of like information about campuses, like unigo.com is a popular one, but then there's also the Fisk Guide to Colleges. And then if you get down to here, let me see here, he even recommends like specific colleges based on your choice of major. And I think he takes this list from, where did he get this list from? It's from, I know his name is off the top of my, it's off the tip of my tongue. But he's developed like a list of ranked colleges based on like academic majors. So a lot of times students will come to me and say, "Oh, I want to major in biochem. Like, what's a good college I should consider?" So definitely take a look at this list. All right, so I'm gonna be done with that, and then let's see here. And can I talk more about transfer, because that sounded like super confusing? All right, so basically there's general education, and if you're, let's just say, for example, if you're a biology major, you really don't have that many general education classes to take. A lot of times students are like, oh, I have a friend, you know, went to De Anza, you know, she didn't really know what she wanted to do, so she did like GEs first, right? And so you hear that story a lot. So if you're a biology major or a science major, you're actually doing the opposite. You really don't want to start with too many GE classes up front. Really what you should begin by doing is taking like the English 1A and then like an English 2 or the eBrite 2. You have like 2 English classes, and then you get started on your math and chemistry in your first year. So usually it's chemistry 25 or chemistry 1A. And then you're building up, and you're really working on like the classes that are required for your major. So, and usually those classes are, let's see here, let me go to my slide here real quick. I'm a visual learner myself, so let's see here. All right, let's go back to here. And then let's just share the screen first, and I'll go into presentation mode. All right. Okay. All right. So if you're a bio major and you're seeking transfer, or if you're doing like one of the, you know, emphases or concentrations within biology, you know, something along the lines of, you know, whether it's molecular cell biology or integrative biology, these are essentially the transfer requirements for your major. And there also happen to be like entrance requirements for a lot of professional programs, including medical school, physician's assistant. So you'll see that the math requirement is like 2 to 3/4 of calculus. So that's like your math 1A, your math 1B, and sometimes your math 1C. So if you're looking at a place like UC Berkeley or UCLA, they're going to usually want 3/4 of calculus. And then other schools like Irvine and San Diego, they're going to want the math 10. So they'll want like math 1A, 1B, and they'll do a math 10. And then, so the math kind of varies depending on where you want to transfer out to. I'll give you an example. If you're thinking San Jose State, with a major in biology, they only want math 1A, right? So you just kind of have to plan like early on, like where you want to attend. 3/4 of general biology. So that's our 6 series, our bio 6A, B, and C. So in order to get in the first biology class, the bio 6A, you would need to have a chemistry 25. That's like the main class. And then it clears the way to get into bio 6A, as well as chem 1A So if you're a bio major, you're looking at 2 years of chemistry. So it's chemistry 1A, B, and C. That's the first year. That's the general chemistry. And then the second year is organic chemistry. That's the 12A, B, and C. And I'm sure many of our club leaders are currently pursuing that challenge right now as we speak. And then you have physics. So usually for bio majors, you're looking at the 2 series. That's the physics 2A, B, and C. And I typically recommend to students, you want to complete calculus first before you jump into physics. And actually, most of my students that I work with over the last few years, they'll end up doing the physics at the 4-year school. So these 5 areas are essentially like the major requirements you would do if you're pursuing like biology or something related to that. And let me see here. I'm going to check in with you guys, but before we get there, here's a cool, sweet fact. 29% of UC graduates and 51% of CSU graduates started off at community colleges. Right? That's pretty cool. And I'll get into some more statistics later, but let me get back into this area, see if there's any questions. Let me see. Do I have any recommendations in what order we should take pre-med requirements? In your first year, it should be math and chemistry. And then it really depends on how much science background you have. Some students, they've done a lot of APs in high school, so they can handle the chemistry and the biology in the same year. But that's not always the case for some students. So usually they'll do like calculus and chemistry in their first year, or they'll do pre-calculus and chemistry their first year. And then the second year, you're looking at organic chemistry. And if they're done with math, then they can do the bio. And then, like I said, the physics is usually kind of postponed until after they transfer. And, it depends on whether you'll be here for 2 years or 3 years. But essentially, you want to have like chemistry in your first year and then organic chemistry in the second year. Organic chemistry is like a prerequisite for a lot of upper division courses. And so you'll see that a lot of these UCs, they'll say that like, oh, it's not required, but they'll say it's highly recommended. But it's really code for like, you should really get it done. You really should get it done if you can. But the physics stuff, that can kind of wait. Now, we do have something called the ADT, or the associate's degree in transfer for the for biology, that just got started this year, and I can kind of get into that a little bit. So if you guys are thinking about CSUs, the ADT in biology would be a huge advantage, because it essentially guarantees that once you transfer to like a San Jose State or SF State, you'll graduate on time 2 years after transferring. And they do that by giving you like an earlier registration date. But if you're going to do the ADT in biology, you have to do the physics here. Okay. All right. So let's see here. Should you take the Bio 6A series in your second year? I would say do it. Yeah, I would say your second year. I mean, unless you have like AP biology and you just feel really, really comfortable with the subject matter and you have like a strong foundation in chemistry, then you could do the Bio 6 series in your first year. But I usually see students do it in their second year. Is the order different for nursing majors? So for nursing majors, yes, the order is a lot different. You're taking completely different chemistry and biology classes. A lot of times students come to me and they're like, Tom, I'm ready to go and apply for nursing school. And I look at their classes and I'm like, no, you've been on like the bio major track. And actually what you need to be doing is chemistry 3A instead of like the 1 series, 1A, B, and C. And then you need to be doing bio 40, A, B, and C, and microbiology. So it's a different set of chemistry and biology classes. And if you need some help planning out your nursing classes, again, feel free to make an appointment with me, email me, and I'll send you some resources. Let's see here. Is it better to take OChem or physics at the 4-year university? I would say it depends on like where you want to transfer out to, right? If you're applying to like a really competitive program, the rule of thumb is basically the more you do here, the better off you're going to be. So if you basically think about like when you go on assist, if any class is listed as required, it's pretty much black and white. Like either you did it or you didn't do it. And if you didn't do it, then you're not getting it. So any class that's listed as required, you have to do it. And it's usually the math 1A, 1B, it's usually general chemistry, and it's usually general biology that's listed as a core requirement. And then like I said, I strongly recommend that you get organic chemistry done before you leave. The physics, if you could do it here, it's like bonus points on your application. It strengthens it. So, but you can always wait to do it. I've had students go to Berkeley, I've had students go to UCLA with bio, and they were able to do the physics at the 4-year school. Let me see here. Okay, so how do we approach prereqs for nursing? So the most important class you can get into your first year, if you're thinking about nursing and you're trying to get out of here in a reasonable time, is Chem 30A. Okay, so 30A, A is an apple. And we only have like 2 sections of Chem 30A at De Anza. We just don't have that many sections, so that class is really hard to get into. So what I recommend is for students to file an application to Foothill College. I'll give you an example. Like last year in the winter, they had about like 6 sections of Chemistry 30A available compared to our 2 sections. And it's because Foothill has all these like allied health programs. Plus they have more land on their campus, and so they offer more like math and science or more science labs. And I think the only prerequisite for Chem 30A over there is elementary algebra. So if you're thinking about trying to get into the Chemistry 30A section and you can't do it here, what I recommend is like this week, file an application to Foothill. You wait 24 hours until you get that confirmation email, and then you want to submit a prereq clearance form to get into Chem 30A, or at least be cleared for Chem 30A, and then be ready to add that course for the winter. For nurses, like really, it's usually it's just Chemistry 30A, but there's some schools like San Francisco State and I want to say Long Beach State that want 30A and 30B, and I want to say Samuel Merritt is on that list as well. But usually it's just like 1, 2 at the most chemistry classes, and then after you finish 30A, you can move on to biology 40A. Which is the first of the anatomy and physiology classes. The golden rule is because nursing is so competitive, you want to get the highest grade on the first attempt if you can. So don't take anatomy and physiology unless you're ready to stay in there and absolutely crush it. Try to get the highest grade possible. There is something called the Bio 48 placement exam here at De Anza. So if you have like a strong foundation in chemistry, you could take the exam, and if you pass it, you can skip Chem 30A and jump into Bio 40A. Now, if you're applying for an associate's degree, that situation would be ideal because usually, community colleges like De Anza, Evergreen, Mission College, they're not going to require chemistry as part of their entrance requirements. But if you're thinking about transfer, you still have to do the chemistry. So I don't know if that's super clear, but I would, when I talk to people who teach anatomy and physiology, like when I talk to the instructors, they'll tell me that students are way better off doing the Chemistry 30A because that 40A placement exam is just too easy. And students walk away thinking that they're ready for 40A when in fact they're not. And they're talking, and they're citing specifically like recent high school graduates who were rock stars, right? Like kids who had like straight A's in high school, they come in here, they do that exam, they kill it, and then they walk into 40A and it's like walking to a buzzsaw. So if you can, try to take the course, the Chemistry 30A course, before you move on to anatomy and physiology. All right, so let's see here. Would I recommend transferring in 2 or 3 years? It's different for every student. I could tell you that the average, not just at De Anza, but really just at community colleges nationwide, the average is 3 years. Okay, and sometimes students, they just groan when they hear me say that. But the reality is, unless you really know exactly what you want to study and where you want to land after De Anza, and if you're planning on taking like, honestly, like 17, 18 units a quarter, and when you're talking about the sciences, that's pretty rigorous. That's a hard 17, 18 units. It's really kind of unlikely to do it all in 2 years. And especially if you're not transferring in like AP credit for chemistry, English, or calculus, it's really hard to do it in 2 years. But to do it in 3 years is definitely doable. And you also have a lot of opportunity to complete a lot of general education requirements along the way. And so you're saving money, but then the more GE classes you do, specifically that GETC pattern, it's the GE pattern for UC and CSU. If you can complete that, that also strengthens like your overall competitiveness. And having 3 years also allows you to kind of reflect on your strengths and your interest, and to really figure out like how do you want to make the most of your degree, right? And so that extra year makes a big difference, not just in terms of like you becoming more competitive, for the admissions process down the line, but it also helps you in terms of your own personal and professional development. I don't know if that answers your question. All right, so let's see
Let me just
here.
cut in time real quick and just let everyone know that the officers, including myself, I said I was a third year. So if you have questions about that, feel free to personally message me, and I could definitely we can connect and share experience. And then you can also ask the other officers about their experience as well. So we're here to help you guys. So Tom is just one resource, but the officers are also another resource for you guys to ask questions to.
Well, for chiming in. You know, I always tell, like, students always come to me and they say, you know, who should I take a class with, or you know, can you give me a recommendation on this professor, whatever it is. And I tell them all the time, I'm not really at liberty to do that, because the moment I say something, like, professor comes knocking on my door and starts screaming at me. And so I always tell them, hey, if you want the best, like, inside scoop, join a club like MOA. Talk to the officers who've gone through these class sequences with all these different biology and chemistry and, like, math instructors, and they'll give you the inside scoop on their personality, on how they, you know, approach teaching, you know, what their quizzes and midterms look like. So that's a lot of advantages in being a part of the club and being engaged, on top of, like, the guest speakers, and, like, on top of, like, the community service projects and stuff. So thank you, for Isabel, for bringing that up. And you know, obviously getting their wisdom on the 2-year versus 3-year journey is also a huge advantage. Let's see here. Is it okay to take OChem, bio, and physics the same year? It depends on your strengths, right? If you're like a rock star in high school and you took a lot of AP science classes and your time management is like a ninja, you know, who am I to underestimate you? Let me see here. Is it better to take physics series first or the bio 6 series? I don't know if there's any institutional data that's going to say, like, one is better than the other. I will tell you that with physics, a lot of math is involved. And so if your math game is strong, then go ahead and do the physics. I've had a student tell me, who came here, she was one of my first students here at De Anza back in 2012. And she tested into, like, algebra 2 and, like, basic skills English. And so, like, her high school prep wasn't very strong, but she continued to work really hard, and she was really optimistic. And she ended up pursuing a major in biology. And one of her instructors recommended that she do chemistry, then organic chemistry, and then general biology, because it would make biology that much more easier. So she followed that advice and she did general bio in her last year. And she was here for 3 years. So she did chem and then OChem and then bio her last year. And she ended up, you know, for someone who started off, you know, with, like, basic skills English and basic skills, like, math, she ended up transferring to Berkeley, and she graduated with, like, a 3.5. And she told me that was, like, some of the best advice she ever got, was just waiting on the bio. All right, so let's see. If I already took A&P in my senior year of high school, do I have to retake? Yes, because high school coursework does not count. Does not count. The only time it ever counts is if you take the AP exam and you get some credit. But for nursing, and so here's on the subject of AP, and, you know, being a bio major and being, like, a health science major, and especially if you're thinking about, like, a professional school, whether it's like dentistry or optometry or PA or whatever, usually APs don't count. So that's kind of hard for some students to hear. And I have to be the one that says, you know, whatever they told you in high school about APs, they pretty much lied to you. So it's good. You'll get some general education credit and some elective credit, and I'll give you a high five, because it says a lot about your work ethic and your commitment to learning and self-improvement. But in terms of actually getting real college credit, you're better off taking a regular course, getting a highest grade possible, especially with something like nursing. Nursing, like, it's interesting with nursing because it's so competitive. You know, they're not, what they're doing is they're taking the letter grade from the class, and there's, like, certain points that are assigned to that letter grade, and they enter it all into, like, a formula. And so when you take AP, you don't really get, you don't get a letter grade, right? You just get, like, a score, but essentially the grade is like a pass or a no pass. And so they really can't do anything with that when you're applying to, like, a nursing program. So that's true for anything that's, like, required for nursing. You want to try to get, like, the letter grade if you can. Let me see here. What has been your experience with students that take classes during the summer? You know, it's, you know, if you want to go all out in the summer, God bless you. You know, if it's going to be a math or science class, I would just say choose one or the other. Don't try to load up with, like, a science class, a math class, and a GE over the summer because you're taking a 12-week experience and compressing it to 6. And so that's a lot of work, and especially if you just finished your first year in college, you're probably gonna be burnt out. And especially in this environment, it's really just filled with a lot of anxiety, and it's hard on students. My thing is, if you're planning on summer courses, you have to ask yourself, are you working? Are you traveling? And if any of those answers are yes, if you're trying to have fun over the summer, if that answer is yes, then you probably should manage your workload in the summer. Maybe you can just give yourself a break. But if you're trying to do it in 2 years, you'll definitely have to take summer courses. And let's say if you're applying for transfer this year, you got to be done with everything by the spring. So that means all your requirements along with the 90 units. The summer of 21 doesn't count if you're filing for a transfer. Hopefully that's clear. Let me see here. And then is there a max unit when you transfer to UC? Well, 90 is the minimum, and then 105 is the max. But a lot of times students who are majoring in biology have more than 105. They usually bring in like 115, 120, and that's because a lot of those science classes are like 5 units and 6 units. But what ends up happening is anything over 105 units, they give you content credit. So let's just say in your last year of college, you're already at 105, but you have to take organic chemistry and physics, and that puts you at like 120 or 130 or whatever. So essentially, what that means is they won't take the credits, but they'll say that we saw that you did it, and we're not going to make you do it over here. Right, so that's the content credit. They honor the fact that you studied the material and you know the material. And then also anything over 105, they'll honor the GPA. So if you have like 150 units, or if you have 2,000 units and you have like a 3.9, they'll honor the 3.9 GPA. It's just the students that have worked with me one-on-one, they're probably sick and tired of me talking about like UC. So it's kind of like to a certain extent, it's like a business enterprise. It's like they're giving you like a 50% discount on a bachelor's degree, right? Because your freshman and sophomore year, you're actually giving your money or your family's money to the California Community College system. You're not paying the UC. So when you get to the UC system, you're paying them for your junior year and your senior year. So essentially, you're getting a 50% discount. So for them to take more than 105 units means they're going to give you something of a bigger discount, and they're not going to do that. So that's kind of why they stop at 105. All right, so do we need to do physics for bio majors? Because I'm getting mixed information about it. If you don't do physics here, you're going to do it over there. And if you do it over here and you get good grades, then it strengthens your application and it saves you money. And chances are it'll probably be easier over here compared to the UCs. But you're going to have to do it if you're a bio major. And you have 2 types of physics series. There's the pre-calculus, and then there's the calculus-based series. The easier one is the pre-calculus one, which is the 2A, B, and C. The harder one is the 4A, B, and C. That's the one that's like physics for engineers. So if you're thinking about medical school, most students are kind of leaning towards the 4A, B, and C because they want to flex their muscles and show that they can handle the rigor. But for most biology majors, all you really need to do is the 2A, B, and C. And again, if you don't do it here, you're going to have to do it once you transfer. Let's see here. Does your GPA transfer over? Do you start all over? Once you transfer, it dials back down to 0.00. David. Okay. All right. So that was transfer in a nutshell. It was like a whirlwind experience. I know there's a lot of information. And if you want me to break it down, or if you just want to meet with me in person, feel free to use my appointment link and make an appointment with me, or just shoot me an email. I'd be happy to work with you guys. All right. If you don't do the physics series, do you still graduate within 2 years at the university? That's a good question. That's a really, really good question. And so I always kind of encourage students to reach out to like the biology department at their transfer school. Like there's usually should be like a transfer advisors. You could, I'll tell you what, like UCs are not going to admit you to their campus unless they're 1,000% confident that you could finish in 2 years after transferring. So that's the first thing they take into consideration. So if you get admitted to a UC campus and you still have to do physics, it'll just mean like it's going to be a lot more rigorous during those 2 years. The CSUs are a little bit different. They're more, they're okay with students going full-time or part-time. You don't have to finish in 2 years once you transfer. So you have a lot more flexibility with the CSUs. And then let's see here. When we apply to graduate schools, they will still see our grades from BHES, correct? Correct. Oh yeah, that's fair game. Especially if you do all the lower division prereqs for biology. Those are essentially the same entrance requirements for medical school, right? All right, so let's see here. Is there anything we could do outside of the class for nursing that could strengthen our application? I would say, yeah, there's a couple of things. I mean, right now with COVID-19, it's a little bit harder. It's almost impossible really to get to a hospital and like volunteer. But once this thing kind of goes back to normal, that's a really, really good thing to do, because then you can kind of at least do the process of like social osmosis. You can kind of see what nurses do. You can just observe like the way they interact with each other, with doctors, with patients, and you get a sense of like, okay, this is what I'm getting myself into. So volunteering is always helpful. There's some programs, they'll give you points if you have like a license. Someone just wrote something about a CNA license. Yeah, CNA, certified nursing assistant, or vocational nursing. So a lot of these like programs, they'll award you extra points if you have work experience in a hospital setting. They'll also award you points if you're a volunteer. You know, having fluency in another language is helpful. I would say, what else is there? Like something like maybe like a phlebotomy certification where you're getting used to like blood needles. We have a phlebotomy program here. It takes about like a year and a half to complete, but you can find other ones in the community that are a lot shorter to complete, and that'll help you develop more self-confidence going into like a nursing program. Because there's the theory portion where anatomy, physio, and microbiology, that's going to be a good foundation for you to do well in a nursing program and help you like ace the exams as a nursing student. But then you're also doing clinical rotations, and the work experience there, the research shows that like your success in the clinical rotations is actually is tied with your English grade. So your English 1A grade. So if any of you guys are nursing majors and you're doing E-Write 1A right now, you want to make sure you do everything in your power to ace it. There's a high correlation between that grade and like how well you're able to work in a nursing setting. A lot of it has to do with being able to communicate in a high stress, fast paced environment with like patients and staff from diverse backgrounds. So it's usually at every nursing program, the English 1A grade is like heavily factored, just as important as any one of your science classes. All right, so I'm just gonna go down the list of questions here. Let's see. Yeah, CNA license is helpful or doing anything hands-on. Correct. Volunteering in a hospital, very good. If you haven't finished OChem your second year, should you stay one more year at CC or take it out of UC? That's a good question. It's like, well, you could always apply if you don't have OChem done, right? Because OChem isn't listed among the requirements. And if you don't get admitted to a UC, guess what? You just stay behind, and you have a chance to strengthen your application by getting it done. But I could tell you, I was at a conference at Davis like a couple years ago for biology majors, and they basically said, OChem is a prerequisite for upper division science coursework. So if you don't have it, there's a good chance you're not going to finish in 2 years once you transfer. And so that's a big no-no for them. Why they don't list it as a requirement, I don't know. But essentially, when they say it's highly recommended, they pretty much, the expectation is to get it done. Is there a place where I can get help with personal insight questions on my transfer apps? I think check out the Transfer Center, because I think they have like workshops right now to help students with their personal insight questions. And just do the best you can. Make sure you answer the questions. Make sure the grammar is solid. Make sure the spelling is clean. And a lot of times students get caught up with it if you have to answer the question. But just do the best you can with it. And that's from Nick. So Nick, you have my email. Just follow up with me there. So it says, okay, Scarlett. So that nursing major is like, oh yes, Scarlett's the nursing major pro. Go to her. All right. Let's see here. How does unit transfer work if we end up going to a school on a semester system? Oh, you convert. You just so here's the thing. If you start up a science sequence at a particular school, you want to finish it at the same school if you can. So if you started Bio 6A here, try to do 6B and 6C here. Or if you do, chemistry, general chemistry at a semester-based school, try to finish it up there. So, but in terms of like converting the units, like to convert like semester to quarter units, you just multiply by 1.5, and then vice versa. To convert like quarter units to semester units, you just divide by 1.5. But like I said, the golden rule is once you start a sequence, like you want to try to finish it at the same school, or else the units usually don't transfer because the curriculum is not like aligned, um, and things get all kind of messy at that point. All right, so if we are bio majors, what would make us stand out on our application outside of school? Uh, Doing this, doing the club, getting involved on campus is definitely a huge step in the right direction. And then after you finish, like say Bio 6A or Chem 1A, you might want to consider doing a special projects with one of your instructors. And usually, you just talk to the teacher and ask like, what else can I do to volunteer for you? Sometimes that involves like working on a project that you share with students. Sometimes that involves like grading papers or whatever it is. It's just, but you need to finish at least one course. So like the Bio 6A, and then the special projects, they vary from quarter to quarter. It really varies. You could do it for 1 unit, you could do it for 3 units. I mean, so that's why you want to go to office hours and get to know your instructors. And then the stronger your relationship, then you can kind of parlay that into like a special projects. He or she has to approve you for it, right? And then there's like summer enrichment programs. And so I'm sure MOA will cover that stuff later on this year. I won't get into it today. Let's see here. Phlebotomy good for pre-med? Well, yeah, but probably not right now. Probably down the line. I see a lot of students do like what are they doing? Like they're doing EMT. They do a lot of that stuff just to kind of like shore up their skills. Medical scribe is another one. There's a lot of creative ones. And then I don't know if you guys have mentioned this yet, but the UC Davis pre-health conference that's coming up in like a week, that could be a really good place for students who are trying to figure out, other things they can do to strengthen their case for med school. And so there's like different workshops. And the one that I always encourage students to attend, if they have one for like, it's usually a panel of like non-traditional students who are in med school right now. So students who start off at community colleges, or students who graduated from college, but they studied something other than biology or pre-health, and now they want to go back to community college, and they're taking these classes to apply for med school. The UC Davis pre-health conference, and then Stanford has one usually in like February. It's called the SUMA conference, and you'll learn a lot about like what you can do to become like a competitive applicant for med school. Let me see here. Let me see. I saw that you're also the environmental science counselor. What prereq should I do for environmental science and studies? So those are two different tracks. And the environmental science, actually, the major prep requirements they usually involve chemistry and physics and calculus. So they're kind of similar to biology. The environmental studies, it really kind of varies. And we can talk more about that. Feel free to shoot me an email and we'll talk more about it, because it really does kind of vary by program. But surprisingly, there's not a whole lot of like environmental studies courses that's like on the major prep. It's kind of like it's kind of weird. It's actually a lot of other like social science courses like econ, economics, political science, and things like that. Do I know of any scribing opportunities? Email me, and I'll send you some resources. And then it says check out our website. Yep, pre-health conference, and then. If you did one bad quarter, but improve over the other quarters, do UCs recognize that? Or is it just GPA is gold? No, they'll recognize it. They'll they know like your first year in college, or, so here's the thing. Like if you had like a difficult time with your grades, it's a lot easier to explain if those grades are isolated to like one specific time period, whether it's one quarter or one academic year. And so there's something called academic renewal. The CSUs and the UCs both recognize this policy around academic renewal. So let's say you had a whole year where you had like a bunch of D's and F's, and you don't want to repeat any of those classes because you were thinking, a couple years ago about going into like computer science, and now you're ready to go biology and you don't want to have to repeat any like computer science classes. You could do academic renewal, and I could kind of go over that like in a one-on-one session, but essentially the grades will still be on the transcript because it's a legal document, but your GPA will be reset. And you could do that without actually having to take the classes or retake the classes. Now, if you had like one bad quarter and it just happened to be like a bad grade in English or math and you retook it, the UCs and CSUs will both honor, you know, the newest grade, and they really don't care about your first attempt. And so there's a lot of grace, you know, and you just talking to a counselor, you learn about your options and different strategies. The one thing I'll stress is that the UCs, they do take into account like a trend in your transcript, or like positive trends. So if like your first year was difficult, but like years 2 and 3, you were just like a rock star, they're going to see that. And then, you know, also being able to talk about that on your personal insight questions or a space on the UC, that'll usually be pretty helpful too. Okay, so don't get too discouraged if, you know, the first, you know, your first year in college has been kind of rocky. All right. Let's see here. Okay, so I think that might be, I think that was it for all the questions. And if you guys want to do some more, if you're not sick and tired of me, feel free to make an appointment, and you know, we can talk more about your interests and your goals and just build out a pathway that makes sense for you guys.